Hey everyone, Cam here. So I'm not gonna make anything big deal about this first video. I am excited though to start this channel. So this is just the pre-switch to Linux. I am still working with my MacBook Pro right now. I have that, but I guess on some kind of principle or something, I'm recording the first video on the phone. I am coming from the world of Apple. I've been using Apple stuff since 2009. Before that, I was using Windows. I was all in on the Apple ecosystem, and I've switched multiple times, a few like in between for a few months, trying out Windows and switching to Pixels and the Galaxy series phone. So I'm involved with kind of like with tech, and I'm aware of what's going on there. But for the most part, I've been in the world of Mac. The short version, like the heart of it, is this whole idea of you will own nothing and be happy. I just don't accept that. I would much rather own stuff and be happy to the degree possible. And Apple is continuing to go down this road of subscriptions and taking away one-time payment options for ownership, like when they rolled out the Creator Studio recently. So that's not really cool. I still have my Mac, but for this first video, I'm recording it actually on the Pixel. After that, I'll be using a webcam, and I got my mic set up there, just some lights. So that's kind of like the setup, but that's the ownership is just like one component of this. I'm actually also going to be using a little notebook that I bought to keep some notes for when I'm recording videos. Their ownership is like one component of it. Another component of it is privacy. So I'm not like a hardcore techie. I love tech, but I'm not really super into technology. I don't really code myself. I've been messing around with like vibe coding and things like that, but I'm still relatively new to this world. So I'm aware of like there's a lot going into the Linux that I don't know, but one thing that I do know is that privacy is a really big thing, and Apple is nowhere near as bad as Microsoft, but Apple, they still send a bunch of telemetry back, and they still keep track of what you're downloading, and every time you open an app or when you install something, there's just like, why are you in my business? Like, why? Like, we're paying for the product, I own it. You don't need to also own my information. Like there's a line, and Apple has admittedly done a better job, which is one of the reasons that I've stuck with Apple for so long. But I don't know what has taken so long, right? I mean, I'm 42 right now as of the recording of this video, and I've known about Linux, but I've never really gotten into it. So that's something that I'm looking to explore. I'm going to be launching with Bazite. I got also on Amazon a mini PC, a GMK Tech. It comes with a 395, the AMD Max Plus 395. I got the 64 gigabyte variant, so that I can do things like with local AI at still not like super cheap, but a fraction of the cost of what a 64 gigabyte MacBook, for example, would cost me. So there's that. I got that, and then there's other things that I want to explore. There's also and this is maybe it's like a personal thing, but I think that these large companies, especially like Apple, have done a really good job of studying human psychology, and I am the first to admit that I get caught up in the vertical integration loop and the whole thing. Like, you get a Mac, and then like my first computer was an iMac, and then my first Apple computer was an iMac. My first actual computer was, I think, a Commodore 64. But I got the iMac, and the next thing I know, I had the iPhone and the AirPods and the AirPods Max and the Apple Watch, and it's just like there's just this constant consumer cycle. And I know it's a personal thing. It's easy to say like, okay, so just don't buy it, and I get that, but I'm at the point in my life where I see kind of where my strengths are, where my weaknesses are. I work on them, but I can admit that it just kind of works on me, and I kind of want to break that vertical integration cycle. I want to get back to ownership of stuff, and there's like so much software that I've seen on Linux that's like open source and free, and I know ahead of time that, like, I know I have maybe like some rosy colored glasses on right now. I know it's going to be like an 80 to 90% of the experience kind of thing, but I'm willing to experiment with that. And I'm actually more than willing to experiment. I'm going in with 2 feet here. So we'll see kind of where that goes. I also like the idea of options in terms of hardware. I was initially looking, instead of the GMK Tech, I was originally looking at the Framework desktop, but that adds up a little bit more in cost. And before I invest anything really heavy like that, first I want to make sure that this is not something like, I'm not completely reading the scenario of the Linux world right now wrong. But anyhow, so I'm just going to be going through this journey. I am a tech lover, but I'm not a super tech guy, if that makes sense. Like the idea of the terminal, honestly, it's kind of intimidating. The idea of having to put in commands and type stuff, I'm so used to just like a GUI, like a graphical interface that I can click around in. There's going to be a huge learning curve here. I definitely want to be able to mess around with a lot of local AIs. And I mean, I've looked into a bunch of stuff over the past week while I've been waiting for this machine to arrive. So it's supposed to arrive later today, but I don't know. It's already been delayed once, so we'll see what happens. I really am hopeful that switching to Linux will be able to bring back, at least for myself, right, from this idea of own nothing, subscribe to everything. It's not okay. It's not okay. Like, and everything is getting so much more expensive so quickly, and the subscriptions are going to keep increasing in cost month after month after month, and I want to break that cycle. So anyhow, I got some stuff. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do some unboxing videos or not. It depends on whether or not I do it with one or more of my kids. I kind of want to get them involved in the process. If they're not able to, I'll record the unboxing. Excuse me. I'll record the unboxing. But I'll tell you more about what's going to be on this channel and what it's about and the kind of things I want to talk about. It's going to, generally speaking, revolve around not just the journey to Linux, but things that I discover about Linux. I'm jumping into this thinking that I think I'm excited. I'm excited about it. Things like, the more I look into it, the more I'm just like, you're telling me things don't have to be the way that they are, right? And with everything going on in society right now, it kind of seems like there's so much control that's been kind of stripped away from the people. But if you look in our own little worlds, in our own little corners, there's stuff that we can take back. And as silly as it may seem, as small or as insignificant as it may seem, I think tech is something that I use, at least speaking for myself, that I use all the time, that I use every day. And I think one of the things I want to do is take back that sense of ownership, stop feeding these gigantic corporations anything and everything about me and all of my data, and we just kind of go from there. So the channel will kind of evolve over time. We'll see where it goes. But this, I wanted to get up a day 0 video before I even get the desk up. That's where it's gonna go, right here. I think. I don't know the exact measurements. I know it's small, but that's the idea of where it's going to go. And I already bought this and I installed, I flashed on here Bazite. I picked Bazite. Well, we'll get into that in a different video. I don't want to make this one too long. This is just I guess the opening, the day 0 video. There's so much that I want to talk about, so much that I want to discuss. I got this notebook. I'm gonna do my best to, keep my videos clean and well edited as we move forward. As I learn how to use editing software, I would say, like, I'm kind of like an amateur, not a noob, but I'm like an amateur with video editing. But overall, I want to keep it more relaxed. I'm not trying to make a gazillion dollars with this channel. This is something that when I started looking into it with Linux, I started feeling really passionate about it. It's something that I want to explore, I want to jump into. I'm excited to try to find ways to contribute. I want to look into the idea of being able to see if maybe with vibe coding I can create stuff and share it as open source. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. I'm not stuck on any one thing, and I hope that there are people in the Linux community that will be able to watch this journey and give me advice, give me feedback, teach me a little bit. I would love to learn. Other people may be interested in doing something similar. It's just that a lot of times when I'm looking on YouTube and I'm looking up advice or feedback on Linux, it's always like really technical, right? And that's valuable. That's really valuable. And I'm hoping that one day I'll be able to get it. But anyhow, so we'll leave it there and then we'll see where the channel goes. See you later.